Welcome to this high-energy masterclass explainer, specifically designed to completely crack the Cambridge AS and A-level accounting code and stop you from losing easy, predictable marks. Look, if you've been studying the purpose and limitations of a trial balance, you probably know it seems fairly straightforward on the surface, right? But I'm telling you, as someone who knows exactly where students bleed points, it is an absolute minefield where perfectly smart students throw away their grades. Today, we are putting on the examiner's hat. We are looking strictly at what the grading criteria demand based on real theoretical foundations and technical methodology from the Cambridge syllabus. Right now, I want you to imagine a complex, high-tariff sample question. We're talking those brutal 9 to 15-mark essay questions, staring back at you on the exam paper. To conquer it, you need a high-energy, highly academic, and deeply analytical strategy. Let's get to work.
Okay, let's dive into this huge warning straight from the principal examiner about where candidates are throwing away their grades. The absolute classic mistake when dealing with the limitations of a trial balance is rote learning a list of textbook limitations and just pasting them onto the exam paper. Listen to me, the examiners are practically begging you to stop doing this. A generic answer, no matter how factually accurate it is in a vacuum, will not get you top marks. You absolutely have to link every single point to the specific business scenario they give you in the prompt. This brings us to the anatomy of command words. If a question asks you to analyze, it is asking you to deeply break down the components and show how they interact. If it asks you to evaluate, that is a completely different ballgame. Evaluation demands that you make a justified judgment on the worth or validity of something. Similarly, explain just requires a clear description of why something happens, whereas to what extent forces you to measure limits, providing a heavily nuanced argument. If you give an explain answer to an evaluate prompt, you've already lost the game before you've even started writing.
We're going to systematically break down this topic using this precise four-part examiner's playbook. First, core principles. Second, the method mark strategy. Third, the three examiner traps. And fourth, critical evaluation.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Core Principles, Thinking Like an Examiner.
To secure those top-tier marking bands, we first must understand the academic benchmarks Cambridge is actually testing. Successful candidates must demonstrate competence across all three of these distinct cognitive domains: knowledge and understanding, analysis, and evaluation. Now, to really picture how this works, I want you to imagine two students in our digital study suite right now. Let's call them Alex and Sam, and they are working on the exact same trial balance question. Alex is highly technical. Alex excels at memorizing formulas and facts, pulling off perfect assessment objective 1 knowledge, but completely freezes on open-ended evaluation. Sam, on the other hand, is a creative thinker. Sam builds incredible arguments and handles assessment objective 3 evaluation beautifully, but really struggles with structural precision and timing. They are currently locked in a massive debate. Alex is pushing for a purely factual approach, arguing they should just list out the errors a trial balance doesn't catch. Sam is arguing for a broader conceptual perspective, wanting to talk about stakeholder impact. So who is right? Well, neither of them will hit the top marking band alone. The assessment framework actually prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. Rattling off 10 shallow facts about a trial balance demonstrates basic knowledge, but it completely misses analysis and evaluation. You're much better off taking 3 key limitations of the trial balance, deeply analyzing how they impact the specific business in the question, and evaluating what that means for their financial decision-making. Depth wins every single time.
Let's move to our next section, Section 2, and see how this builds into the method mark strategy for procedural perfection.
The crucial point here is following this exact procedural framework in the exam room to ensure your systematic processing captures every possible method mark. Examiners award you points for your systematic process, not just the final result. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. Step 2. Extract relevant data. Step 3. Select your analytical framework. Step 4. Execute and verify. Step 5. Present with terminology. Let's check back in with Alex and Sam. They are actively drafting a model response, paragraph by paragraph, right now. They deconstructed the prompt, extracted the data, but they just hit a massive roadblock on Step 4. They are stuck on timing and paragraph linking. Alex spent 10 minutes perfectly calculating the impact of an error, while Sam wrote a beautiful but totally disconnected paragraph about accounting theory. They are running out of time, their paragraphs don't link, and panic is setting in. This is exactly where most students fall apart in the exam hall. They lose the thread of the systematic sequence. Even if your final conclusion is slightly off, showing a rigorous, standardized sequence proves your procedural competence.
Okay,
I am pausing Alex and Sam's session right here using my digital picture-in-picture to step in and explain the exact cognitive strategy we need to use to get them unstuck. But actually, before we rewrite their flawed section into a flawless, full-mark response, I have a massive favor to ask you. If you are serious about mastering these exact cognitive strategies, I need you to hit that subscribe button for the channel Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels right now. It is at acetheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you click that little notification bell and enable all notifications. You never, ever miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy. All right, let's fix Alex and Sam's answer out loud. The core issue is that practical application means actively drawing evidence-based conclusions, not just summarizing data. Here is the rewrite. Instead of just saying the trial balance balances, we write, while the trial balance mathematically balances, the supplementary text reveals a completely omitted transaction. This explicitly proves the trial balance's limitation in detecting errors of omission, which directly misleads the shareholders regarding the actual liquidity of the firm in this specific quarter. Boom! That is how you transition from a mediocre, disconnected answer to a flawless, full-mark response.
Let's shift our focus to Section 3, the 3 examiner traps, spotting the flaws. Now we are entering our interactive pause and practice visual workshop. According to principal examiner reports, there are exactly 3 major mistakes students consistently make when assessing the purpose and limitations of a trial balance. I want you to imagine a complex data table on your screen right now, showing a trial balance that perfectly balances alongside a list of suspicious journal entries. Imagine a 60-second visual countdown timer ticking down in the corner. In that 60 seconds, you have to scan the data, identify the hidden traps, and formulate your strategy. Knowing the material is only half the battle. Knowing how to navigate the exam's psychological traps under intense time pressure is the other half.
Time's up. Let's look at a poorly written student answer and play Spot the Flaw. Can you find the 3 errors based on these bullet points? First, confusing cause and effect. The flawed student answer says, the error of commission caused the trial balance to balance. No, that is structurally backwards. The error of commission occurred, and its effect is that it remains undetected by the trial balance. Second, forgetting format and presentation. Accounting is a professional language. If the student answer evaluates performance using slang or sloppy formatting, they lose marks instantly. Your presentation matters just as much as your math. And third, providing non-specific generic answers. If the student just writes, "It cannot find compensating errors," they've fallen into the trap. The examiner is actively hunting for these 3 flaws to cap your grade. My job is to systematically highlight these paths so you never walk down them.
Let's dissect the exact mechanics of these traps. Pause and look at this comparison. You unlock the highest marks not by just listing facts, but by linking every single point to the unique scenario in front of you. A flawed answer reads exactly like a dictionary definition. It just says, a limitation of a trial balance is that it cannot detect compensating errors. Now look at the top-tier answer. It reads like a professional financial consultant wrote it. It says, because the business has a compensating error of $500 in both the sales and purchases ledgers, the trial balance will incorrectly appear balanced, hiding the fact that both revenue and expenses are misstated, which will distort the final profit margins for the year. Do you see the absolute difference in quality there? Context is king. You are not a textbook. You are an analyst solving a specific problem for a specific business.
For our final section, Section 4, we tackle critical evaluation, the final polish.
This is where the highest tariff marks live. To evaluate evidence quality properly, your answers must actively dissect limitations and alternative interpretations rather than just accepting the given data at face value. This is where we deploy the 3-step question scan. Step 1, scan for the command word. Step 2, scan for the stakeholder. Step 3, scan for the hidden constraint. Once you've done that, you don't just stop at describing a limitation, you must expose the underlying assumptions being made by the business. You need to present alternative interpretations of the data, and ultimately, you must evaluate how these limitations affect the final conclusions. To do this perfectly, you use the paragraph balance formula, which means every paragraph must contain 1 part theoretical knowledge, 2 parts contextual application, and 1 part evaluative judgment. That is the formula for an A-star.
To execute that paragraph balance formula, never forget to use comparative connectives to highlight both similarities and differences. Then confidently draw justified conclusions about their relative importance. Words like whereas, conversely, or similarly are absolutely critical tools. Comparative analysis requires you to weigh different approaches and back up every single comparison with evidence from the text. This isn't just about pointing out flaws. It's about weighing those flaws against the overall purpose of the trial balance and coming to a justified, balanced recommendation. This ties perfectly into the last 5 minutes review checklist. In the last 5 minutes of your exam, you aren't doing new math. You are scanning your essay specifically hunting for these comparative connectives. If you don't see words like however or in contrast, you haven't evaluated, and you need to add a concluding evaluative sentence immediately.
As an actionable takeaway right now, create your own mnemonic from these key terms to instantly trigger your memory when the clock is ticking in the exam hall. Write down the core limitations: errors of omission, commission, principal, compensating, original entry, and complete reversal. Take the first letters of those specific terms and build a memorable phrase. Let's check back with our scholars Alex and Sam. Alex just had a massive breakthrough, realizing that having this mental shorthand frees up cognitive load, allowing for deeper focus on the actual contextual analysis. Sam's breakthrough, realizing that a beautifully written essay means nothing if it doesn't follow the precise structural formula we just laid out. They finally merged their strengths.
I want to synthesize this entire masterclass into 3 core memorable pillars for you. Use the 3-step question scan, apply the paragraph balance formula, and always execute the last 5 minutes review checklist. So here is my final provocative question for you. If the examiner is looking for process over perfection, how will you restructure your very next practice paper to guarantee those method marks? The theoretical foundations are in your hands, but crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent strategy. Before you go, I need you to hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O&A levels. That's at AceTheExam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell for future exam hacks and go down to the comments right now and type in your exact target grade. Put it out there, commit to it, and use this playbook to go get it. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next session.